Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to our study of life under the sun. Wakoa presented to us the person I'd like to call Mega Blessed Man. Someone to see he seems to have everything the old covenant can offer, from long life to great riches and a big family. And yet, there's missing something. Element I like to call element G for God. Not he's an unbeliever, but in the sense that there's still that something that only God can give as He sees fit in His sovereignty. As I said before, I really believe that this book of Ecclesiastes was written, in a sense, on one side as an apologetics, a book to reach out to unbelievers, but also to shake up those who are of the family of faith but need to be reminded of things. We've already seen Him really shake us up when it comes to this missing element, and that's why I saw fit to take these ideas of Mega Blessed Man and bring it to the New Covenant for us. Blessings like having a nice family, where everybody's healthy, we have a good job and a good home, and you find the right church in which you can serve and your kids love to go. All these things are great. Still, there's missing that little element. Again, not that you're not a believer, not, but that you're still missing that gift of God and contentment wise. It's going to continue to bring us down that corridor now. As we continue and end in chapter 6, we'll see Him still provoke us, because that's what He's doing now. He's using that goad, that sharp stick of provocation and frustration to make us think about our life even as believers. He's going to continue to really make us seek out that contentment, that enjoyment, but still with a little negative twist. We're still down a dark cave. Down a dark cave. Yeah, He's going to say this. All the toil of man is for his mouth, yet his appetite is not satisfied. Yeah, man being any man, all man, women, us humans. We work hard to succeed, and yet there's still that missing satisfaction. Man, that's something. And again, you put all these efforts and you can get to the point of being Mega Blessed Man and still missing that element G. It's like the Bible talks about over and over again. Cupidity, avarice, having more, needing more. Like James talks about in James chapter 4. I'm going to paraphrase it, but basically he tells all of these people he's writing to that they're not satisfied because they keep trying to get more. They should stop trying to get and start praying. But even then, when you're praying to get the stuff, and that's why you're not satisfied. That's the notion of the Bible, and we see it here again. You're working hard to get, yet there's missing that true satisfaction. And God's going to help us to find it, though. Not before He keeps provoking us to thought through some very interesting questions. He's going to say this. For what advantage has the wise man over the fool? And what does the poor man have who knows how to conduct himself before the living? This is more parallelism, repeating the same idea into different ways. And like I said, these are questions to make us think, and don't miss the advantage word, right? It's actually there both times, because it depends on the translation, but it's notion of the palpableness, right? To counterbalance the haval of emptiness. And he says, once more, that even with wisdom, you might not get that advantage, even compared to a fool. Because you're building off what he's already said. So you're using wisdom to get all the stuff. But even if you get to the point of being a Mega Blessed Man, you're still missing that satisfaction. You're still missing that something that only God can give. But still, we're called to find it, though. As I said, he repeats the idea when he talks about this poor man or miserable man who is really like down on the bottom rung of the ladder, but still he's using the right things, right? How to conduct himself, using wisdom, using Proverbs, being faithful and following God's rules. And not before the living or under the sun. This reality now. Still, this questioning is to leave us with an empty answer saying, it doesn't work. We're still missing that satisfaction. So what's the answer? Well, God's going to give us a little coy answer to move us along. A little bit of light coming in through the dark cave we're in. He's going to say this: better is the sight of the eye than the wandering of the appetite. This also is vanity and the striving after wind. Better. You've seen that one before, right? That notion, here's something better. That's when we should perk up, pay attention. This is something better. I've already talked about stuff that is appropriate and right. Under the old covenant, this is right. But here's a better thing. And here's the better thing. What is before your eyes? In other words, what you have. Contentment, as I've said. Contentment is better than this wandering eyesight, this if only I had. Because that's vanity and striving after win, right? This more repetition of just getting havel, emptiness. And yet we fall in the same trap, even as Christians. If only I could get married. If only we had a child, a health issue taken care of. If only I could get a little bit better job. Or that church had a new program there. That program I need. If only. But that kind of wandering brings us back to that unsatisfaction. But what we want is that better than. That brings us to true advantage and true satisfaction. And here it is. It's enjoy what you got. Contentment. Once more. Yet Paul still wants to make us go forward now in this exploration, in this cave. He still wants to go forward. Okay, you've seen the light, now keep on in provocative, thought-challenging words to make us understand how this glimmer of hope is what we need. So he's going to say this: whatever has come to be has already been named. It is known what man is, that he is not able to dispute with one stronger than he. All this verse should mentally bring us back to chapter 1. Remember chapter 1? This poem of monotony, how everything turns around in circles. And then he says something like that there's nothing new under the sun. And I said back then, it's not that there's no new technology, but the drive behind it. It's always the same. And I give the example of entertainment. I mean, we'd have computers and video games and TVs and cinemas, but it all comes to the same drive that's always been there. I want to be entertained. So again, it's always been named. That drive for entertainment. It's already and always been there. We may have changed the technology, but it's still a drive saying, I want something that's fun. It's already been there, but yet in that monotony circle, it still won't give you what you need. See? And worse still, as he says, that there's someone stronger than. Well, in chapter 1, we find out that there's things we can't change. Things that are more powerful than us. And I said then, I say again, that's God's doing. God is subtly through these chapters so far. Sometimes clearly, but sometimes subtly, as the one who is in power, and we can't do anything about what he says, what he chooses, what he wants in his sovereignty. That's, I believe, what he's getting at here. He's bringing us back to these truths in chapter 1. These truths that he's now developed in front of our eyes. And showing us how it's not about getting the new stuff, the better stuff. Because first of all, God might not let it work. But second of all, it's not what's going to satisfy you. It is the same drive that's been there for, since man has sinned. If only we could, if only with that change and that, and then we would be better. That kind of drive has always been there, and it never worked. Because there's one stronger that decides it doesn't work. Keep our eyes on him, on this truth. As God continues to provoke us to thought, and says this: the more words or things, the more vanity. And what is the advantage to man? This notion is it's all about like more you try to figure things out, or more you get stuff, more there'll be emptiness. That's the point. That's what he's trying to get at. You're trying to get more, succeed more, even with wisdom and under the right rules of the old covenant, saying yes, you should seek for this and that and the other, like a big family, long life. More just means more vanity, though, more emptiness. See, that's what he's trying to tell us. And what's the advantage? What's the palpableness in that? Well, nothing. You're still left without satisfaction, like we saw in the beginning of our text. So what's the answer? Well, Paul's going to come back to something now. Again, with his provocative questions, leaving us without a specific answer, but as we try to answer these questions, we'll get something. We'll get a hint. So here's what he says. 4. Who knows what is good for man while he lives the few days of his vain life, which he passes like a shadow? For who can tell man what will be after him under the sun? We understand this phrase in the context of what we just saw. Who knows what's going to be afterwards? Built off this idea that if we could just change this and that, and if we could try new stuff, but who knows if it's going to actually work? Again, this notion, if only we had children, but what if they're sick? Worse, what if they turn against you? They hate you. They don't want to be part of your family anymore. Are you sure thinking that satisfies you? You don't know what's going to happen afterwards. So that's the thing. It won't really answer you. Who knows what's good for man? We know the answer to that, right? In this short little life, who knows what is good for man? He does. That's the point. As I've said before, this is about contentment. Recognizing what God has given us, what's before our eyes, and rejoice in that. Understanding this notion of if only won't work. I have been there more times than I can count. If only God would change this, or do that, or bring this person. And it doesn't satisfy. See, only truly enjoying what God has brought will give us this satisfaction, this contentment in God's work. And we might be giving lip service saying, yes, of course, that's it. Amen. And then go right back to chasing after the wind. Nice vacation. I have to put my away for. Or just go and entertain myself. Then we haven't understood what Paul is trying to tell us. And we'll be left with that satisfaction we truly need. Or that we would learn to enjoy God's good gift in that relationship with Him instead of trying to add more, thinking the new stuff is what we need. May He help us, dear brothers and sisters. On this note, be blessed.